and generation gaps, we need to stop for a moment and think about where we are as a society, because the military is really, it's a representation of our society. And so I love getting chances to talk to young people and folks that are brand new to the service. And I always ask them, why the Air Force? Like, what led you to want to join the Air Force? And it's a variety of answers. Some they have family members who were in the military. Some very honest. They say, hey, I was in a bad situation. I wasn't really motivated in high school, and I want to strengthen my skills, and I want to challenge myself, and I believe I can do that in the Air Force. And others, hey, I really want to take advantage of the educational benefits. And I tell them, whatever your reasoning for wanting to join the Air Force, I need you to understand, what this means, and the importance of serving your country. And so I think when you talk about generation gap, I don't know if where we are as a nation and as a society today, that people really appreciate what it means to put a uniform on, because we wear the flag of our nation on our uniform, what that means and what that represents. And so I think unfortunately a lot of our young people tend to get a bad rap, if you will, because we have labeled millennials for many years, and now we've labeled this new generation, and I think we're not giving them the benefit of the doubt, because I will tell you, most young people that I talk to today, they are way more creative than I ever have been, and they are very intelligent, and they are very motivated, and I am actually incredibly encouraged when I talk to our young folks about where not only our military is going, but where our nation is going. And so I think we need to do a better job at being more inclusive. And I really applaud particularly the services and the Defense Department for the initiatives that we're unveiling right now to make this more of a employer of choice, if you will. But I think too many times, older, more experienced personnel, we look at what things were like when we were growing up, whether it was in college or in our early stages of our career, and we think that is what needs to happen today. I read a quote not that long ago that basically said, we don't need to train people the way that we were trained, because the Air Force of today is not the Air Force of 20 years ago, and that's okay. And I think we need to do more of that. So I think generation gap, sure, it exists, but just because something happened before, the saying, we've always done it that way. My response is, well, it doesn't make it right. So let's not, just because something is or was always, let's not fall short on the potential to see what it could be. But I'm just very encouraged. Particularly in the Air Force and the future of our Air Force, with the folks that we've got that have made a choice to serve their country and doing it through the Air Force.
Thank you. So how was your experience at Iraq, on a human level?
Yeah, so I'm a human resource specialist. And so what my duty was when I served in Iraq, it was to account for all of our personnel, to make sure that they were staying safe. And unfortunately, if we ended up losing a member of our team, that we provided assistance to the family back home, and particularly the unit where the person was assigned. And we did unfortunately lose some teammates when I was deployed to Iraq. But I actually traveled around the country a lot more than I was anticipating. And I will tell you, so again, my family, my dad served in the military, but when I told my parents that I was going to Iraq, my dad's first response was, why you? He's like, you're not a pilot, you're not in a combat skill. And I said, Dad, somebody needs to keep track of everyone. And of course, there was all the emotions of, are you going to be safe and so forth. And I tried to tell my parents, I honestly believe that I am as safe as I am, anywhere back in the United States, because I'm not a combat officer, so I was not on the front lines, but where I was